Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach training event. Today is all about insane productivity with Mortgage Coach. So this is an ongoing mastermind program. I'm going to hand it off to Coach Todd Bookspan in just a minute to kick things off. I do want to do some housekeeping. So first of all, everybody who's on this call, two questions I want to ask you right now. Do you have a discussion topic that you'd like us to discuss today from this program, from some of the past sessions that you've done? Do you have a success story that you are willing to share during today's call? We're going to unmute everybody in a minute, or you could raise your hand, or you can just post it in the question section, and we'll bring it in. Also, I want to shine a light on two documents that we're working on. One is called the Mortgage Coach Values and Why Worksheet. The goal here is that we're an extension of the Insane Productivity Program. It's not only important that you have your own why, it's important that you have a mortgage why. And then as a mortgage coach, it's important you have a mortgage coach why. So we're creating a worksheet to help you do that. Please click on it. Within a week or two, it will be added to the Insane Productivity courseware in the program. And right now, everybody on this call has a chance to influence what that looks like and to be the first to go through that. Also, to help everybody remember what we're learning, so we just have this one-page cheat sheet that's just a reminder of the best practices of the whole program. We're putting that together. Now, that probably won't be added to the courseware until towards the end of the program because we're continuing to learn what is most important to a mortgage professional. But we would love your collaboration. We'd love for you to add to this and make it part of your educational experience. So I do want to shine a light on that. Lastly, the past few times that we've done this call, we've had folks that, they're unmuted and we hear them typing on their keyboard, or they are unmuted while they're talking to other people, or they just didn't set it up right when they came in. So I created a 2-minute video to say, hey, this is how you set up your audio right. Please control your mute, and here's a few steps to do that. Here's how to ask a question. Here's how to raise your hand. So this call will be awesome if everybody on this call gets really good at doing those 4 things. We'll be able to have everybody unmuted. We'll be able to have everybody collaborate, and it'll just be a richer educational experience. So lastly, if Dave Gallegos is on the call yet, Dave, it was so awesome to see you in Denver, and thank you for bringing me to the Bronco games, brother.
Thanks, dude. I had a great time. It was fun to have you. That was fun how that came together. So
I'm jealous.
It was awesome, everybody. I mean, what a great experience. I also posted this picture not only to say thanks to Dave, but my goal when I put this mastermind together would be that it would create a layer of accountability for people to do the program. It would provide a place for you to ask questions, engage with each other, and it would create a mastermind. You guys would make friends. Before the call, Jen and Todd were talking about meeting. And my hope is that you will make some new friends. You will mastermind more intentionally with each other outside of this call. And if you guys are ever together in the same place, at a coffee shop, having lunch, a Bronco game, we don't want to see any pictures at Raider games, but aside from that, pictures of any place but a Raiders game, we would love for you to post it because I hope that we make some lifelong friends within this experience together. So with that said, Todd, I'm going to turn it over to you to kick things off and to bring out all the value of today's call.
Well, I don't have front row Denver Broncos tickets, but I do sit in the club level at the Arizona Cardinals game. So any of you who are in town for a Cardinals game, we can definitely we can mastermind, as Dave called it, for just a couple of minutes, but then the rest of the time we can actually talk and have fun, eat burgers and drink beer, because I know Dave and Dave did do that. So they just talked business the whole time. But I think that's
exactly
awesome.
right. That's exactly right. It's like you were there.
I got to imagine the people around you guys were pretty annoyed with just hearing about mortgages for the whole time.
Yeah, no, we didn't do a lot of mortgage talk, but we did have some good Bloody Marys. Dave is a grill master, and we did do a beer sampling. Just to be honest.
All right, well that's good. That's good. I'm proud of you guys, and love seeing some familiar people. And I knew last time we had some folks on from the Phoenix area, but I haven't looked at the whole list yet. But I'm excited for today's call. I think that kind of as we said before, we've got people kind of in 2 different areas. We got people between Module 7 and 8 who started off in the early stages, and then we've got people who came on what I would call round 2 who are around modules 2 and 3. And so remember, as we kind of are asking for your success stories and your discussion topics, right, pick what's important to you. And again, there's no spoilers. I'll tell you though, Module 8, which we're going to talk about some of the stuff today, is probably the most packed module. I don't know if I can say it's my favorite module, but if it's not the favorite, it's number 2. But I think it has more in it than anything else. When you guys hear my quote-unquote 3-minute summary, it's the one where my video guy called me and said, Todd, I can't get it down under 3.5 minutes. I'm like, all right, well, 3.5 minutes, people will let me slide because I had a couple that were under 2 minutes. It'll all average out to less than 3 minutes like I committed. So, Module 8 is, awesome. It talks about some of the concepts that we all know. And so because it talks about stuff that we know and maybe aren't executing on, it is definitely something that everyone should pay attention to. It's a module I've listened to the most. I'm probably in double digits on that module. And ironically, as I was prepping for the call, I put it on my to-do list to listen to it again this weekend. So the biggest pieces in there are really how to boil it all down and get going. It's talking about, again, concepts I call the not to-do list, right? That's a Todd Duncan term for it, but he says, right, suck at the things by design that you don't want to do so you can be world-class at a few. And he's going to have us focus on that as homework. What is your hourly rate, right? We've talked a lot on this call. Many of you have teams, and the rest of you want to build teams and really start looking at what are those activities that I'm doing that are, $10, $15 an hour activities versus the ones that pay hundreds of dollars like you all are earning. And then really talks about bookending your day, which, again, is one of those things that, the morning routine is, to me, something that's sacred. And I found that when I'm on it every day and I get up and I do my morning routine, Darren talks about how specific his routine is every day. But I know when I do my morning routine that discipline carries on into the rest of the day. And then Darren kind of talks about how to shut it down at night. It was interesting. I led a conference call earlier this week for a mortgage company, had about 400 originators on the call, and we talked about that morning routine, and then starting off with that 90-minute jam session as the first part of your day. And it was interesting to get feedback from people saying, gosh, you know what, that's just 2 things I've always thought about doing and I haven't. So certainly ask you guys the same thing. Especially those of you coming off Module 3, talking about the 90-minute jam session. Have you guys implemented that? Are you guys doing that? And then, kind of rewinding for just one sec back to Module 7, right, the homework from there, completing that goals supplement, really looking at designing your life. And, hopefully as we open it up right now for those of you who have discussion topics and success stories, maybe it'll be around just that part. I don't see any hands up yet, so I love Dave's video that he did. I would definitely put that as your 90-minute jam session today. If you didn't just spend 2 minutes watching his video he posted up on Facebook yesterday, I'd hop off and do that as far as the control the mute. But so far it sounds awesome. I don't hear any car horns or assistants knocking on people's door. But assuming that we're opened up.
By the way, I'm going through and I am unmuting just some familiar faces. Again, remember everybody, please control mute on your side. But some of the folks that have interacted and engaged in past calls, I am unmuting you one at a time, and so far no one has blown up the call. So first of all, let's do this. One, if I haven't unmuted you and you want to ask a question or share a success story, do raise your hand in the GoToMeeting control panel. If you do not know how to do that, watch that 2-minute video. It's kind of like, hey, go off in the corner, watch that 2-minute video. We'll teach you how to participate and interact, and then come back. But I've unmuted a number of folks. Does anybody have a question or a success story they want to share so far? Michelle Town, you are always good for something. So I've unmuted you, Michelle. Anything you'd like to share?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, fantastic. Dave, I wanted to thank you for posting what you did today on Facebook on how to do our value propositions. I think that's amazing. I have worked really diligently on this, and I listen to Darren daily every day. And I use my mortgage coach presentations, and I've really kind of cycled in and found that one word that describes me, so I'd like to share that with everybody. Maybe it'll help everybody open some conversations. But my one word was believer. That's who I am. It's my core. I believe in everybody. I just always have been. And what I've been able to do with that is, write my value proposition around that, write my life plan around that. Something that, and Dave and I were talking this morning, maybe it's just because I'm older now, but for me, when my life plan and my business vision and the value proposition coincide, my life is so much simpler. I mean, listen, the mortgage business is super hard, but if I can remember that this is what I do, this is why I do it. When I'm getting frustrated, I have my little sticky on my computer that says smile, or now it will say, believer, because that is my word that I use. And it's sometimes really difficult to find that word. I mean, I had to do some diving and delving into that to find those words that help. But I also took that over to my mortgage coach, which was, now when I give my mortgage coach presentation to clients, I want to show, again, it's my whole show them what they can do, don't tell them what they can't do. It's the same thing. I want to show them, and I believe in them. I want them to believe in themselves. So it's been super helpful for me to have something like that. And Dave, I wish I would have had something like that, before, because trying to find that word that describes you is super hard.
No doubt about it. And folks, what she's referring to is there's a video from Darren Daly that I posted. If for anybody that missed it, it really is just a great 5-minute video. And then, I don't want to underplay how long it takes to get to the one word. Maybe it'll come quick for you, and maybe it'll take years. I don't know. But it was a great lesson, and Michelle, it sounds like it added a lot of value to you. So great job. And reminder to everybody to take that to the next step. We're helping you. What are your mortgage values? What is your mortgage statement? We had Kelly Zitlow's example. My mission is to deliver an honest, well-communicated, knowledge-based lending experience. And then, of course, what is your mortgage coach why? And we gave you, 30-plus examples of other mortgage coaches who have been so transparent and willing to share mortgage coach why. And by the way, we're looking for more of you to share your mortgage why, to share your life why. I don't know about you, Michelle, but is it helpful when you see from other leaders to help you kind of feel like you know where you're going? Has that been helpful for you?
For sure. I mean, something for me that I always tell everybody, not anything of mine is original. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of, these last couple of years, a lot of coaching, a lot of searching, and I think what I'm doing is I was searching for that why. I couldn't find my own why. I knew what it was, but I didn't know how to put it into words. I mean, I'm so good with numbers, but God forbid, ask my English teacher from 8th grade. I couldn't write a story for the life of me. That's just not how my brain works. So seeing some of the core values that were put on that list that you put on there were helpful for me, because then I looked up synonyms, and I used, what I did was I took my optimism, let's just say it's optimism. I took optimism and then looked up synonyms for that, and then that's how I kind of structured my value proposition. That's how I structured how I word things now, how I talk to people. And the last 6 weeks that I've been doing this insane production with the mortgage coach add to it has really helped me. This I know people don't understand how valuable what we're doing here is. Collaborating. You have some of the smartest people in the mortgage industry on this call, and this is the best place to ask the question, because somebody has gone through it, and they can give you an answer or a perspective that you might not have thought about.
Great. So we've got a great success story. Carl self-posted a question. My biggest challenge is turning off my email except for 3 times a day. Does anybody else have a story they want to share or a question they want us to make sure we talk about?
I see a couple hands up, Dave. I see Mark Thompson. You've got your hand up.
Yeah, good morning. Gosh, Dave, I hope you don't take this wrong, but I didn't see your Facebook post this morning, and I'm sorry I didn't even see your email because I didn't even turn on my email or Facebook until this call. And for me to be able to say that is huge. And about being able to disconnect, and I think I'm new to this. I guess I'm in the group 2 that's kind of going through this, and I just completed module 2, and I've listened to it actually about 3 or 4 times. But one of the biggest things that I've learned is the ability or the power to disconnect and then to just focus. And I think briefly what really hit me in the head after I listened to this is I unfortunately had to go visit or be in the hospital with my father-in-law for 5.5 hours last Friday. And I was so frustrated because I was with him and I was trying to help him out, and at the same time I was trying to run my business. I had 2 deals that I needed to fund and close. And at the end of the 5.5 hours, I was just laughing, hanging out with Pop and having a great time. We did that, and I just realized that, you know what, it doesn't really matter what's out there. It doesn't really matter the technology or anything else that's going on. What really matters is that quality time with the people you care about. And then I was so pleasantly surprised that at the end of the day, what I realized is when I got back to the office, after Pop was all safe and secure, the deal funded. We had a new lead. It was already pre-approved, and quite honestly, they didn't even need me. My team just kept rolling just like it was. So a lesson learned, that was something that I learned, the power of disconnecting and the power of doing your time.
Wow. Congratulations. I mean, that's a tremendous success story and a great story to boot. Any topics you'd like us to focus on today? I've got Carl Self has posted another one. Carl, I'll try to get to that, but right now we've got one from you. Does Mark, anything you think we should talk about today, or anyone else?
Yeah, one thing I'm working on is the power of jam sessions, or as just what people are doing that. I'm having an issue with doing that. It's I've done one. I have to do 2 more. I've got one scheduled for today. So possibly hearing how other people are scheduling, what they're doing on that focus would probably be helpful for me to kind of get some insider inspiration on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Looking for suggestions on jam sessions. We'll cover that. I think that's a great topic. Anyone else have either a success story or a question you'd like to table before we get into it?
This is Kristen Messerly.
Hey, Kristen.
Go ahead. Hey.
Keep going.
You can
The
go
floor's
first.
yours.
Okay. I was just going to say that I went through Module 8 today, and I thought it complemented Module 2 really well because it talks a lot about, like, what are you going to give up to get what you really want. And I just thought that was probably the most powerful thing that I've experienced going through this. And definitely in that second module, like you were bringing up, that or someone was that we have to give up some technology and disconnect in order to really focus. And this week I had realized that I was spending a lot of time on things that weren't utilizing my strengths, which Darren talks about. You can only be really good at one or a couple things. And so I kind of reorganized my company structure a little bit so that other people were taking on more responsibilities, and I could focus on things like sales and things that I needed to be the one contributing the most on. So it's been really successful for me this week, and I think that just kind of understanding how to let go of technology and other aspects of the business so that you can focus on things you're really good at, that's been something that I think I'm sure everyone can relate to, and has definitely been a major thing for me.
That's awesome. I always love that, right? Give up the good for the great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any other things that you think would be great for the group to talk about today? All right, so I see Jim Sharpry. I don't know, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong, but go ahead, Jim. I see your hand up. Why don't you jump in and give us your success story or your topic for the day?
Hey, Jim, Jim, I've unmuted you. Go for it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I wanted to jump in because I started the course about 6 weeks ago, and realized that I wasn't like completely involved in it, and so a little frustrated about that. Decided I want to be all in, and so I'm now all in, listening intently, going through all the sessions, and session 2 for me was really helpful because the jam sessions are a perfect excuse now to really sit down and focus, and I wasn't doing that. And when I started the homework, I set up three time slots where I was going to do the jam session, and I ended up not doing anything over the weekend, which was kind of odd when I look back and saw, what was I doing with my time. So now I'm just really focusing in on those opportunities. The mornings are really absolutely the best time to do it, and finding that there are things that, that's going to make a great jam session because I really need, long focused time to make this work. So that and session 2, talking about the distractions. Wow, when you really realize that there are so many distractions now, it's just very helpful to know that that's out there and how to focus it and how to focus your time. So this has already been extremely valuable for me.
Love it. Love it. Super glad to hear that. Any other topics that you think would be great for us to discuss today?
No, I'm just absorbing as I go as much as possible, and going back and re-listening to make sure and keeping some notes. So I just like hearing what other folks have to say because I get a lot of value out of that.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Thanks for speaking up and admitting that you've been in it for a while but weren't all in. It was interesting. That was one of the things that Jen, Dave, and I were talking about before the call started, was that her passion is helping people execute, and I really do think that's a challenge for all of us coming into this. So let's continue to learn from each other and hold each other accountable. I see Bliss Sawyer's got her hand up too. Bliss, how are you today? I'm going to get Bliss unmuted here. There we go. Now, how are you doing, Bliss?
Awesome. Can everybody hear me now? We're good?
Now we can hear you.
I was just saying, thanks to Dave for posting that 5-minute video on branding, because that's actually going through all of these modules. That's where my head's been. In the mortgage industry, most of us get paid by a W-2. We work for a company, same thing with real estate agents, but it's really us we're selling. It's not the company. And so I've been really trying to fine-tune that why, those values, but also in rebranding my business or improving my branding so that there's more of a connection between me and my referral partners and me and the consumer, so that I can increase those numbers of solid, good referrals are coming in. And I'm not cold calling, I'm not scraping the bottom of the barrel, but it's just a steady stream of high quality borrowers that are being referred to me, and I think that is because of branding. And so, yeah, I loved the 5-minute. I'm excited. I'm actually going to do a little bit more, and next week I'm at Insane Productivity in San Diego. And so I love to hear what other mortgage people are doing with their branding and how they're improving that. So anybody have any ideas or suggestions? That would be just a great thing maybe to share.
Love it. All right, so we will definitely discuss around that. I appreciate you speaking in, and I know you're a marketing guru, so it's good to hear that you have questions on that as well. All right, so how about I know I talked to him after the call last week, and he said he had something to say. How about you, Carl Stryker? Do you have any success stories or anything that you think would be a great discussion topic for today? Carl, are you there? All right, we must be having technical difficulties there. All right, anybody else have any topics before I kind of jump in on what we have? If so, if you're unmuted, speak up, or if you're trying to speak up and you're muted, just go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll unmute you. I'll just give another 30 seconds or so, and if not, I will jump right in with the topics at hand. All right, so let's jump in. It's going to be a little bit of review for those two are from the first go-round if we talk about the 90-minute jam sessions, but I think it's actually okay to recircle that, because as I talk to people who have gone through insane productivity before, or as I talk to other loan officers in general, the number one thing people struggle with is setting that time aside to think, to plan, and to work on your business. And so in my world, I call it on time. In Darren's world, he calls it a jam session. I know that Jim said that he finds it's best to do it first thing in the morning, which Darren would agree with, that that's the time that you own and for him is non-negotiable. We did have, just so you guys know, if you guys, when you want to search the group, if you can kind of see on Dave's page right there, right below his picture where it says join, then right below it says search this group. You guys can always go in there and search something. So if you go in there and search jam session, you'll see we had a previous discussion, gosh, probably about a month ago, where different people share their ideas of what they were doing during jam sessions. But I would love to hear from some of you, if anyone is willing to speak up and talk about their strategy for their 90-minute jam sessions.
Hey, Todd, it's Danny Harani out in San Diego. Can everybody hear me?
Danny, we can hear you.
So,
love you.
So the best thing that I did, because I was scheduling these and then having a little bit of trouble with it because I was getting interrupted a lot still, and so I talked to the team and I explained to them the kind of mentality behind it, and once they got it, they started pushing me and encouraging me to do it and really respecting the time. So if you have people around you that can, be accountability partners, or that you need to explain the why behind it to really encourage you, or just keep out of your way so you can do the jam sessions, I think that's really been a game changer for me with the team. And then also, kind of another similar kind of success story is I started scheduling once a week. I've been terrible about getting home to have dinner with my kids, which is something that I've been working on, and I'm just trying to consistently guarantee once a week to do that. And so I put it on my calendar. It just says family dinner. I have to get out of the office, and once I put on the calendar where everybody could see it, the people started, pushing me out of the office. Like if I was here at, 4:35 and my calendar said I needed to leave at 4:30, somebody comes in here and says, get out of here. You need to get home to see your family. So it's really awesome, once you put it out there, that you'll find the people around you will start helping you help yourself.
I love that. I think that's huge. So what was it that you said to your team about the on time that you think sunk in the most that allows them to truly give you that undisturbed space?
Well, mostly about how it will help them. I tried to frame it in a way that, if we can, not just me, but other team members too, can, really do that sprint and recovery mode, and we can be so much more productive, that really will result in more business, more leads, more closings, more money for everybody. And, some of that time I've committed to spending developing coaching material for them, some of the other team members, where I'm personally kind of contributing back to them, so they start to understand that like this dedicated time, uninterrupted dedicated time, was really going to have meaning for them as an individual.
I love it. I love it. I think that's huge, right? So what you guys are hearing is he's got, first he told them the why, but it wasn't his why about him, it was about them, right? How you're going to help them. And then I love the fact that you've got them also to hold you accountable to get out the door for dinner. And, I think that's huge. So I would be thinking, as you heard Danny, is what is it that you want to change, that you need someone else to maybe be the person who's looking over your shoulder and saying, whoa, you got to do that. I mentioned earlier on earlier calls that, my big focus has been to leave my phone down when I'm in my car. And I laughed yesterday afternoon driving my daughter home from swim class, and sure enough, she doesn't want to listen to the football game, right? But fantasy football started. I'm like, well, I got to check the score. And I picked up the phone. And my daughter was like, Dad, that's the second time I've seen you do that this week, and you're not supposed to do that. So, I love it that my 14-year-old is holding me accountable. And so the phone went in my pocket, so I couldn't get it out, and was in the car this morning. So I'm back on the wagon thanks to that accountability. Have any of you others found empowering others to help you has been the key, or does anyone else have any other strategies for the 90-minute jam session that are working for them?
Hey, Todd, I do want to jump in, and I definitely have a couple ideas that I want to share because I've been, studying the jam sessions. I've been working hard on them. I can't remember when I first heard the idea, but I would just say, I think it was the first time I heard Darren speak, and I wrote down that as one of my most valuable takeaways. Now, getting to 90 minutes has always been a struggle for me, but, dedicating time to have that, I've done it. So I'll get to that if people don't pile on. But I know, something that I did for the first time in a long time this week is multiple days this week I got to 0 inbox. And it sounds like a separate idea, but I almost felt like it was clarifying. It helped me take control of my day so that I would have the space to be more deliberate with my jam sessions. So it's funny that we're talking about jam sessions and that came up because that was a real focus I've been working on for weeks. And part of my process to get there was to get more control of my inbox. Like I said, I ended the day 2 times this week at 0. Also, just a sidebar, I reached out to, via text, some of the most successful people I know, Darren being one of those, Tim Brahim being one of those, and a few other folks. And I just impromptu asked them, hey, how often do you get to, a 0 inbox day? Tim Brahim still, to this day, every day in 0 box. And Darren also answered that, literally every day he has a 0 inbox. Now, he did qualify that with he's got a personal email that he gets to 0 every day, and his assistant helps manage his business inbox, because you guys can all imagine how many emails he gets. And it was his personal one that gets to 0 every day. So anyways, I'd love for folks to answer that survey I just posted. How often do you get to 0 on your inbox? And then I would love for someone to jump in with ideas on jam sessions. And Todd, if they don't, let's go around as leaders and let's each just have 2. So Dave Gallegos, Jen, Todd, let's be ready to just stack the deck with jam session ideas if we don't get them from the audience. So audience, anyone? Raise your hand or shout out.
Hey Todd, Dave, this is Troy.
Hey Troy.
Hey guys. Hey, one thing, I got off track too also like Todd, but one thing that helped me get back on track was I can't remember if we said it in the group or Darren said it, was the timer. Mine was getting a timer and just seeing the countdown on that clock from 90 down to 0 really helps me stay focused. And when I tried a couple times without the timer, I lasted maybe 20 minutes and my brain was gone in the left field.
I think that's big. What kind of timer are you using? One on your iPhone or using one on your computer?
An app called Focus.
So what does that app do? We would all love to know.
It's a task oriented timer that's just it's a countdown timer. It's a big old 90 minutes down to 0.
Love it. So folks, if anybody, Dave Gallegos just talked, he uses an online stopwatch. He put a link to that. Dave, thank you for sharing. If anybody else has either an app or a method in which you're using to keep you on focus, share that either after this call or during this call. Love that. So folks, jam session ideas. Anyone else going to throw a specific, as a mortgage coach professional, what are some examples of jam sessions? Let's just rapid fire, guys. Who's got one?
I see J.C. Coleman's got their hand up.
Yeah, this is J.C. How's everybody doing? The first thing that I took away from Darren was he said that I had to identify my biorhythms first, and that was a big piece of the puzzle for me. Once I understood that I'm like a 7 o'clock in the morning and possibly an 11 o'clock in the morning, I scheduled 2 one-hour jam sessions and got the Versa Timer big app that sits on top of my desktop, dial in the 60 minutes, because I just tried to do it with a regular old looking at the clock and that didn't work. This thing has a big alarm that goes off so that I know that I'm not going to go either 20 minutes over or 10 minutes too late. I can just sit down and do what I've got to do, and it has really changed the way my day goes. And the other piece of that is when I come into the office in the morning, I do a planning session first. so that I can identify some of the main things that I've got to get done today, some of the big frogs that have to be taken care of that will clean up the rest of my day, and it's been working pretty good for about a week and a half now.
That's great. So what other kind of things are you working on in your jam sessions?
What other kinds of things am I working on?
Yeah, like what have been a couple of projects that you've worked on that may resonate with some of the other folks on the call?
I've been working on putting together, things like mortgage coach presentations for condos, which is a big piece of our market, and there's a complete and total misunderstanding of how it's all put together. And so I've created an outgoing marketing edge presentation to help the agents and consumers understand what the gotchas are, how they compare to other types of programs, and what the effects of those are. That's one of those types of programs. The other one was the branding piece. I'm really trying to focus on my vision of who I am and why I'm valuable to the market, and find a way to convey that to the public.
Have you picked your one word yet?
I have not. I'm a multi-word kind of guy, so I'm struggling with that one.
I'm with you on that one. That's awesome. Appreciate you sharing. How about anyone else? Any other jam session ideas while we're still on that topic?
Let's rock, guys. I want to get at least 5 from this community jam session topics. We've got a couple there. Who's got specific jam session ideas? Let's roll.
Yeah, this is Mark. I've done one jam session, and a plug for Cindy Ertman. I had downloaded her program of putting and implementing a 6-week what is the 6-week new referral partner program. Something I've been putting off for months, not months, probably a month and a half. And in 90 minutes, got the system down, ordered the cards, ordered everything I needed to do. I actually wasn't able to complete the entire program that I wanted in 90 minutes, but I'll do it today as well. So I think what I'm getting out of this is I have always a mental list of projects that I want to be working on. It's that shiny little object that you want to work on that kind of distracts me every once in a while. I think what I'm getting out of this from Module 2 and hearing everybody here is I need to start keeping better track of the projects that I want to start working on, almost like an ideas, and start including that in my journal. And I'm going to start doing that in the back of my journal, so that when that 90 minutes comes up, or the 60 minutes, or whatever the time is that I want to do a jam session, I'll go, that project I've been wanting to work on, this is the time I can do it.
Love
That's
it.
awesome.
Well, guys,
That's awesome.
let's spend just a couple more minutes on this. I do want to shine a light on Tim Lamb. Here's a couple photos that were the result of his jam session. So, by the way,
Tim's got his hand up. Go ahead, jump in, Tim. I unmuted you.
You guys hear me there?
We can hear you.
Can.
Perfect. So thanks, guys, for letting me chat here for a few moments. I think the jam sessions for me weren't a new topic, but what I did to help myself out and figure this thing out from the jam session side of things is I figured out that I got to do it first thing in the morning before my day gets started. I tried to do the jam sessions in the middle of the day, and it always got bumped, it always got pushed, and so forth. So I put together a new flow for my morning that starts at 5, and then by 7:30 I got my jam session rolling until 9 in the morning, and then I'm in the office by 9:15. So a couple things that I did to facilitate that was talk to my family about what I'm doing from 7:30 to 9 in the morning, and then let my team know that I wasn't doing anything until 9:15 in the morning. So it allowed me complete focus to get started in the morning before anything else interrupted my day. Because as we know, once we get in the middle of the day, a lot of times it gets interrupted. And a key component for me was the jam sessions for me were thought process was working on my business jam sessions and working in my business jam sessions. So the stuff that you'll see on the board there, those photos that I put together, that was one jam session of me trying to get everything out of my head onto paper that I could nail for what my system looks like, what my flow looks like, how I can build a world-class mortgage project or mortgage class world team. And then I'm going to put other jam sessions involved during my day where I'm just completely working on my business from a nuts and bolts standpoint, putting files together and so forth. So that's a couple things that I put together for us.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, great task. Todd, I just want to add a few, and then I'm going to throw it back to you, Todd. So folks, remember, you got to do 10 a week. There's no doubt annual reviews, doing Mortgage Coach annual reviews, it should be a weekly jam session that you just schedule and do, and I'll let Todd add some color to that. Also, we had a question come in on the Mortgage Coach page today with a member who talked about, hey, I'm going to go do open houses, and he was asking for inspiration. Actually, Dan Keller, while we were on this call, weighed in with his perspective on it. But I would make an argument for a lot of mortgage coaches should be doing a jam session a week where you're creating mortgage coach experiences for realtors, whether that's a rent versus own experience that they use to help build urgency, or whether that's a co-branded open house experience that helps them capture more leads and deliver more value. But those are two great mortgage coach ideas. Todd, I'm going to hand it off to you, and then let you pull that out and also get to some other topics.
Super. So let me just add a couple of pieces to that, and then let's jump in on Melissa's question on branding. A couple things I would say is I heard someone just say it. I think it was JC, but you got to have a project list, right? So most of you have on your phone a notes application or some type of application, and I'm doing one of Darren's sort of self gets to it in the last couple modules, 11 and 12, but I'm really focused on productivity right now, and I just finished reading again David Allen's Getting Things Done, and so I revamped my system for that. So that's how I'm doing my zero. That's how I got myself to zero emails in my inbox using his strategy, and I've got a projects list now that I've got going. So when I get to my on time, I'm never at a loss for what to do because I've just got a list that I'm throwing things on during the day, and so I think that would be helpful, potentially if you guys think through some of that. I also, love hearing that we've got some new folks chiming in. One thing that Dave mentioned was annual reviews. She's not on the call today, or I'd call her out, but she's been on the past couple calls as Lori Richardson. She's a great Mortgage Coach user and member of Building Champions Masters Coach, and she has that bookended into her calendar every week where she's blocked off to do annual reviews. And she oftentimes, when she doesn't want to call people or feels like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to this person in 3 years, she's called them every year for the review, but she hasn't actually physically talked to them. So those are the times where she actually reaches that person and ends up having just a truly amazing conversation with that person. And so I definitely love Dave's idea there. So let's switch gears to branding. Who here has some ideas on branding that they want to jump in and talk about? How about you, Jen? I'm sure you've got something to say about branding.
I can't believe you're calling on me. I was trying to be quiet today.
I noticed that, so I decided I would have to call on you because we need some of your wisdom.
Yeah, so branding, one of the things I just want to share with all of you is that there's something called the Fascination Advantage, and you can go to the website How to Fascinate, and you can take a test. It's sort of like the DISC profiling, where we're doing our DISC analysis. It's something that I do with everybody I coach. It's something that I require with every loan officer on my team. And what it is that it's creating your own anthem. It's the same as your brand, your own anthem. And it takes no time, and if you want to get the full detail of it, it's $47. And it will identify how the world sees you, because I think one of the challenges that we have in branding is how we want to be projected to the world, right? And how we want to be projected, and this is, I think, why so many people are having the struggle, is that you might want to be projected as someone who cares, but your values don't really say that, or your values are about caring and, as Michelle had said, and all of these things, but you don't know how to project it out. So what the Fascination Advantage does, and it's incredible, and hopefully, Dave, you'll pick up on this and get Sally Hogshead involved in it. It's how the world sees you, so that you can identify with just 2 words. And I know we're talking about 1 word, but maybe you need that 2 words, but to be able to identify yourself. So if I said something like friendly and affordable, and I told you that that was Southwest's anthem, it makes sense to you, right? Friendly and affordable. And it will go across all spectrums. So it's friendly and affordable for children, friendly and affordable for business people. And I have used her to help me identify my anthem or my brand. And that's, it was incredibly eye-opening. It was who I was. Amazingly. I said, oh my gosh, that's exactly who I am, but I didn't realize that people were seeking me out in that manner. I didn't realize that. And so I was losing, there was a gap. I was losing out on the opportunity to explain who I really was because I didn't see the world see me that way. I was hoping they were, but I wasn't really projecting that. So I just want to share that because it might give you just that extra oomph that you need to accelerate this process for yourself in branding. That said, from a branding perspective, just like a few people have mentioned previously, you know, everything has my brand on it. My cards, my everything, my emails, everything has my brand on it. And I think that that's extremely important that you kind of ingrain that in and then create some conversations around that brand for realtors, for financial planners, for clients, for networking people, for social atmospheres, still maintaining those special words, but creating some verbiage around it so that you don't feel that it's just tied to this, just to mortgage, which Davis said, our mortgage why, our personal why, and our mortgage coach why.
Love it, love it. I think Sally is great. I remember seeing her speak a few years back at Sales Mastery, and it's I love that concept, and I think, you know, you kind of hit the nail on the head. For those of you who haven't picked out your 1 word or watched the Darren Daily that Dave has a link to in Insane Productivity, I mean, one of the things that Darren mentioned is, you know, if you don't like how people perceive you, you've got to put it out there how you want to be perceived. And so I would encourage you guys to sort of think through that. Has anyone else in the group come up with their 1 word that can jump in and share it with the group? Does anyone else have any ideas around branding that would be helpful for the group? I think Jen nailed it. I think Bliss nailed it earlier. But I know there's some other great branders on the call. All right, so we're all stumped by branding. So this will be a conversation. This may be a conversation to consider on a future call, but I would love, you know, maybe as homework then, for those of you who haven't watched that, I think what Darren's done, and I haven't watched the 3rd segment yet because I too have been doing a good job of staying off my email in the morning on my computer. For whatever reason, I'm not technologically savvy enough. I've got 2 inboxes, my personal inbox and my coaching inbox, and they both have that big number that tells me how many emails are in there, so I stuck a Post-it note over it so I wouldn't be tempted to check, because I'm one of those people that, you know, my borderline ADD gets in my way. As soon as I see a number, whether it's on Facebook or Snapchat or in my email, I feel like I've got to check it and clear it out. So I've covered that up. But I've watched the first 2 modules of it, and I think it's great. I think it's a game changer, and I love the fact that Jen said you've got to look at it in your personal life as well as in your mortgage world, and sort of how in business you want to be perceived. So I know you guys have been thinking about it, so someone else must have something to say about branding. All right, so let's switch off of branding since everyone is stumped. How about other ideas around insane productivity or other success stories? I've heard, you know, we just heard Tim talking about that he's got a new great morning routine. Who else here has implemented a morning routine that they're willing to share with the group on how you were getting up and starting your day?
Wait, everybody's quiet today.
I know. Hey, Dave Gallegos, how about you? Do you have a great morning routine?
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. Yes, thank you. I I didn't have anything for the branding. I haven't been able to watch the videos yet. Well, one thing, quick, let's go back to the jam session. One thing I would add, I posted this onlinestopwatch.com. I use that on my desktop, and I do that a lot of times. I love what I get to do for a living, and I'll come in on a Saturday. My kids are grown now, and it's me and my wife at home, and she's like, "You're going to the office today, right?" And so, but what I want to do is be really intentional about that. I use that online for those of you that probably do some work on the weekend. This is a really good way to be super efficient at it because it reminds me of going on vacation and how much work you get done the day you're going on vacation. Set that timer for 90 minutes, come into the office for 90 minutes, and leave at the end of 90 minutes. It's amazing how much you'll do in that jam session. So just sharing that. Also, in Outlook, there's a tool for, it's not a tool. Outlook, if you go to the current versions of Outlook and you click on that Send Receive tab, one of my guys figured this out after he went through Insane Productivity. There's a work offline feature. I'll take a screenshot of this, but you can still have your inbox open. You can send emails out, but you won't get any emails coming in. And that's one of the things that's so difficult, I think, about being intentional in a jam session is you leave that inbox, you leave your email on, and you know, we have a do not disturb thing on our phones here, and you leave your cell phone on, you're not going to get anything done. You're going to just be constantly, because that's our business, we're constantly interrupted. As far as my morning, so those are just some tips. Always put a sign on the door, of course, and just says I'm in a jam session and when you're going to end. And the first time I heard that from Darren, I thought, well, why can't I do 3 jam sessions a day? That's only 4.5 hours. I work 8. It's tough to do 90 minutes. So that would be where I would, if you haven't done a jam session, convince everybody to start with it. But as far as my morning routine, it starts with, you know, I have a whole thing where, and after reading, God, just one of the greatest leadership books I've ever read called Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, that whole thing about those of us that are challenged at times by snoozing the alarm, the first test that we take every morning is whether or not we're going to get up when that alarm goes off. And just reading that, I think it's the last chapter in that book, I get up. And so that's my first thing in my morning routines is making sure that I'm up and that I get up when I'm supposed to get up. And so I just have this whole routine, but it involves, you know, sitting down at my desk, and I'm going to, I started this years ago, and I don't remember why, but I started this years ago. I read a chapter of Proverbs every morning, so based on the calendar day. Then I go through my, so I have my personal vision statement. I read through that. I update my Living Your Best Forever journal. I update I started that thing a few years ago that Darren did where he writes a note to his wife based every day, and so I still do that every morning, and then I'm reading, and because that's my reading time, and then that's also I always read a 60-minute period, so that's why I'm able to get so much reading in, and then by 7 a.m. I have a workout gym room in my basement, and I'm in there, and I need to be done by 30 minutes. I work out 6 days a week, so I got to do that. If I don't work out in the morning, I'm not working out that day. I just know I'm not. And then, so I told Dave Savage this story, and he's like, or actually I shot the first video, and Dave asked me to reshoot it. But one of the things when I went through this process again last year is I asked my wife, I was trying to figure out where can I save more time and get to the, so I asked my wife if she would do me a favor. I said, if I ask you to do something for me, will you? And she said, well, what are you going to ask me? So it was, will you make me breakfast after I'm done working out so that when I get out of the shower, I can just sit down and eat instead, because I was making my breakfast, and it's like 10 or 15 minutes. She goes, yeah, I'll do that for you. And this is how, you know, people like most of the people on this call are. I just added it up. 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. It starts to add up. So that's kind of my morning routine.
Love it. Love it. It's a good thing you write her those nice notes every day so that she was willing to make your breakfast.
Exactly, right? So I just thought that was a huge win. And it's 15 minutes, and she's like, yeah, I'll make you breakfast. That's not that big a deal. And so it's amazing what the people who care about us would do if we would just ask. I didn't want to ask because I thought she'd be all, oh, my God, what do you know? And she's like, no, I'll make it. And so that was really cool. It's just really nice. And then we sit there and we talk to each other while I'm eating before I go to work. So it's nice.
No, I think that's even better, right? I think that's, I always love people sharing family time in the morning as well. And, you know, I think that the common theme, what you just said is, you know, most people I talk to, with the exception of Darren, who works out in the, people need to work out first thing, or they just can't seem to get to it. And so I love that. I think that the common theme was people need to do their jam sessions early, right? And then you heard someone say that they do the jam session before they go into their office. So, Danny, we heard him say he got buy-in from his team to give him the privacy in his office to do it. I would say that I have to say, for me, always until this past year, when my team knew I was really focused on systems and processes so that I could start on the coaching side, I was never really able to do it at the office. And so I would always encourage you, do it somewhere different if you have that opportunity. Yesterday morning I stopped at Starbucks. It was beautiful, 82 degrees in Arizona, which is unusual, and sat outside and did almost 90 minutes. I got about 80 minutes in based on the traffic that I had. But it was just so much easier to get it done ahead of my day versus going into it. I would definitely start looking at, make that project list, right? You heard someone say that was successful for them. Kind of in these last couple of minutes, I'm just going to sort of just, I guess, put a bow on what we talked about, and then some of the modules that seems like most people will be on going forward this week. I would love us next week, if you guys can think about it, to continue the conversation on branding, because I do think that's important for all of us, and I do think, just like on Dave's Mortgage Coach values and why worksheet that he created, I mean, having those 25, 30 examples from other originators is really helpful. And you'll see there's some of them that are one sentence and super succinct, and there's others that are a lot longer. And so I think we can share some great ideas that we're all doing for branding. I think that'll help. We heard someone say it earlier on the call as well. There's not a whole lot of original ideas still in the mortgage business. We're all pretty good at swiping and adapting, and it seems to be something that helps us all grow, and I would continue to encourage. And so if we can learn from each other, right? We're not going to overlap. If one of you is in California, one of you is in Washington, and one of you is in Florida, if you share a couple of commonalities in your branding, I don't think that that's going to be a huge challenge in the marketplace. Those of you who are on the newer side, I think most of you will be getting on to module 3 or 4. You obviously know the key there was the jam sessions. Module 4 is going to kind of lead you into multitasking, which I kind of laugh, because Dave and I talk about multitasking just about every time I talk to him, and the fact that we definitely are multitasking a little bit on this call where we're interacting on Facebook and then also talking. But I definitely agree with Darren that that's the #1 productivity killer, and the less that I multitask, the more successful that I seem to become. And so you guys are in for a big treat who are going down that path. It's going to be a great module for you. Kind of as I mentioned before, Module 8, those of you who've completed it, I would say even before you jump into 9, I would listen to Module 8 again. Again, it talks about the bookending of your day, and really talks about what it is you should really be focusing on. I mean, I love the example that he gives in there. Really talking about the vital few, and he, gives great examples of Dr. Oz, just going in and stitching people up and just showing up and doing his TV show. Joel Osteen just really focuses on that sermon he gives on Sunday when he's got millions of people watching him. And so I think there's so much to learn from there. And then Darren gives, again, his famous stopwatch story of when he was starting and stopping a stopwatch as a realtor to see how productive he was during the day, or in this case, not productive he was. I think that'll resonate with a lot of us. That some of you will be looking forward to Module 9, which really just digs back into habits, which is something that you keep sort of hoping that by the time you get that far in, you'll have eliminated a lot of habits. But Darren's going to slap us upside the head in Module 9 and have us jump in there with that as well. So hopefully this was a great call for all of you. I think we covered some good ground. The homework, in addition to whatever module you're on, that I just want to kind of bring everyone back to. Dave is really passionate about getting that new Mortgage Coach Values of Why worksheet dialed in. So he would love your feedback on it. He posted it into the Facebook group. Take a minute to look at it. I would go through it, even if you think you already have done this before, and then think of it from 2 perspectives. Number 1 is what could Dave do better on that sheet to make it more valuable for all of us? And then number 2, once you actually have your why, go ahead and either post it there or send it directly to Dave if you don't want it out there in the public, because he really is trying to collect those. The second thing is he's got that daily reminders worksheet that he's creating, and he would love our feedback on that as well. And as we go through those modules, you'll see those of you who are through module 3 or 4, you'll see that he's got the stuff from those first couple modules in there, and then those of you who are through 7, 8, or 9, you'll see that he's got the ideas down to there. So any ideas that you have, Dave would love that to be kind of a living document that once we get done with all the modules, he's kind of got this one-page checklist reminder for everybody to look at. So I think that would be fabulous. And then the last thing I'll throw in there is, actually I lied, the last 2 things I'll throw in there, if you didn't watch the thing on muting, it'd be worth just spending 2 minutes on that, although we had a great call. Everyone did a great job on controlling themselves. And then last but not least, Darren's branding thing on Darren Daily. If you haven't signed up for Darren Daily, it's such a great, valuable thing. He sends you a quick 5-minute or less video every day. You don't always have to watch it every day. For me, I tend to watch them once a week. I'll just pile them on and crank through. We'll create some discussion around that, but I think that'll help out with Bliss and branding. And then, as always, thanks for being here. Appreciate the interaction with everyone today, and then start thinking about topics and questions, success stories for next week, so that way when we open up the phones, rather than silence, we get to hear your beautiful voices. Thanks again. It's 10:01. We are done.